The biggest cost of living for most of us is the roof over our head. And since the last election, rents have jumped, and house prices too, and mortgage rates are also on the rise. Across Victoria, household budgets are being tightened just as voters prepare to head to the polls. Janelle Patterson is raising her children in the outer Melbourne suburb of Seaford. She's on maternity leave while her husband builds the family business. As with most Victorian households, balancing the budget is getting tougher. Almost everything is costing more.
It's sort of changing the way that we live our lifestyle, and we haven't really had to have that question mark before.
Janelle keeps a close eye on the mounting bills. And even essentials for the kids cost more than they did just a year ago. But the biggest shock has been the jump in mortgage repayments, now an extra $500 a month. And heading anywhere in the car costs more too. Even more pressing for some, though, is the most basic need: food on the table. Maria Macris is shopping for 5, including 3 teenagers.
It is noticeable because you're getting less for what you used to pay for.
ABS data shows the price of groceries has soared this year, led by a massive jump in the cost of fresh fruit and veg. At the meat fridge, prices are up more than 7%. A loaf of bread isn't far behind, and a bottle of milk costs 5% more. Data from VCOS shows most Victorians are worried about how they'll pay their bills, and more people are reaching out for help. What's not clear is how that pressure will factor at the ballot box next month. But voters may well be asking what a state government can realistically do to ease that stress.
This is the way Australia has always helped people in times of crisis, charities donating food. But the need has never been greater, and some are calling on the state government to remake the model.
In our 92 plus year history, this is the busiest food bank has ever been. We're operating much like the health system. We're the emergency department for people's tables.
Victoria's flood crisis will now add to the food shortages and price rises. To help prepare for more extreme climate events, a group of university, local government, food and health networks wants the state government to be responsible for food security and resilience.
I think it starts with the fundamentals of somebody who's accountable in government, a Minister for Food, and a plan that will need to look at the entire food supply chain and how to ensure that it is more resilient.
Catherine Valisha farms the land her grandfather bought when it was cheap, just 30 kilometres from Melbourne's CBD.
We grow the main lines like everyone does around here: broccoli, collies, iceberg lettuce.
The land is protected for now, but it's selling at premium prices, which makes it more suitable for housing developments.
Obviously people are still betting on the fact that this will not be farmland at some point in time.
One solution being put forward to policymakers is found right in the heart of Melbourne, where a trial for urban farming is already underway.
And there must be hundreds of sites like this. When we arrived in July last year, this was a derelict house.
Now the garden provides fresh food hampers for more than 100 people a week.
We need to be thinking much more seriously about this issue, which is why we need leadership from the state government.
There's a reason why housing is encroaching on farmland. It's because we need more houses. This is one of the state government's solutions, the big social build. But it'll be years before it's complete.
There'll be public housing, but also community housing and affordable housing, and some private residences. The idea of that is a more financially sustainable model. It is a terrific program with about a 5-year plan. What we need to see, though, is more like a 20-year plan.
It will have to be a plan that satisfies the urgent needs of both housing and food.
Cost of living is the key issue for many Victorians this election. So let's take a look at what policies are on the table to help with current and future cost of living pressures. While health has dominated the campaign so far, many voters will be asking how the next government will help household budgets. Labor launched a first home buyers fund last year. It covers 25% of the house price. It's also building more than 12,000 new social housing homes over the next 3 years. The Coalition says it'll bolster housing supply by reforming the approval process, cutting taxes and red tape. There's no relief in sight on stamp duty though. Both sides have declined to follow New South Wales in reforming that tax. Neither party has promised much to keep food costs down, nor is there a plan for our future food security. Labor's extended its $250 power bill rebate until the middle of next year, as well as its $1,400 solar rebate scheme, and will provide free kinder for Victorian families from 2023. The Coalition has promised to create a government-run fuel check app to help Victorians pay less at the Bowser. It's also offering free public transport for healthcare workers and will cap public transport fares in Melbourne for everyone to $2 a day and will halve V-Line fares.